There are days you live and forget, and then there are days that live inside you forever. For me, it was the morning of March 18th, the day the world stopped spinning the way it used to. Even now, years later, I can still smell the faint sweetness of lilac drifting through the open window and hear the echo of the church bells rolling across the sleepy town of Ridgeport, a small coastal town tucked between the Atlantic and endless stretches of green farmland. I was 22 then, restless and half certain of who I was. I thought life moved in straight lines: school, work, love, success. I didn't know that everything could tilt in a single heartbeat. That morning, I woke before sunrise. The world outside was soft blue and quiet, except for the sound of waves folding against the distant pier. I remember sitting by my window with my journal, writing about dreams that now seem so small, saving up for a trip to California, finishing my internship at the newspaper, maybe falling in love one day. My mother's voice called from downstairs. "Emma, you'll be late again if you don't hurry." Her tone carried that same mix of affection and impatience every parent knows. I smiled, tucked a strand of hair behind my ear, and grabbed my camera from the desk. Photography was my escape, my small rebellion against a life that felt too ordinary. I believed if I could capture the world beautifully enough, I could understand it. Downstairs, the kitchen smelled of toast and cinnamon. Mom stood by the stove, her hair tied in a messy bun, humming softly to the old radio. She'd been sick for a few months then. Nothing dramatic, just fatigue and a stubborn cough she blamed on the spring pollen. But I remember the way her hands trembled slightly when she poured coffee. "Heading out to the cliffs again?" she asked. "Yeah," I said, slinging my bag over my shoulder. "The sunrise is perfect today. Don't forget your jacket, sweetheart. It's colder than it looks." That was the kind of conversation you have every day, the kind that slips through time unnoticed. But sometimes, ordinary words become sacred when you realize they were the last spoken before everything changes. Outside, the town was waking up. Fishermen were loading crates by the docks. A golden retriever barked near the bakery. The sea breeze carried the scent of salt and new beginnings. I walked toward the Ridgeport Cliffs, my favorite place in the world. The view stretched endlessly, waves crashing below, gulls circling overhead, the horizon painted in fire and gold. I lifted my camera and began to take pictures. The shifting light, the delicate dance of the wind through the grass, the sparkle of dew on wildflowers. That's when I noticed the old man. He was standing dangerously close to the edge of the cliff, dressed in a faded brown coat, his white hair tousled by the wind. Something about his stillness drew me in, the way he stared out at the sea, as if waiting for someone who'd never come back. I hesitated before walking closer. "Sir, are you all right?" He didn't turn immediately. Then he looked at me, his eyes pale blue and distant. "Do you ever wonder," he said softly, "if the sea remembers us?" I wasn't sure how to respond. "Maybe," I said. "It remembers what we give it, our time, our stories." He smiled faintly. "Then it must remember me too." And with that, he stepped closer to the edge. My heart stopped. "Wait!" He stumbled slightly, his foot slipping on the damp grass. Instinct took over. I dropped my camera and lunged forward, grabbing his arm just before he lost his balance. For a moment, it felt like time held its breath. The wind whipping around us, the cliff crumbling beneath his shoe, the weight of two lives hanging between gravity and grace. I pulled him back with all the strength I had. We both fell to the ground, breathless, trembling. When I looked at him again, tears were streaming down his cheeks. "You shouldn't have done that," he whispered. "It wasn't your burden." I didn't understand then. I only knew that I couldn't watch someone vanish. No one's burden, I said softly. Just don't. He looked at me for a long time, then nodded. That was the beginning. The beginning of the day I would never forget. The day a stranger's pain became my purpose, and the universe, for reasons I still can't explain, showed me what it means to save someone and be saved in return. I used to believe life was predictable, like the steady rhythm of waves against the savannah shore. Each morning, I'd rise before dawn, open the small cafe I managed near River Street, and watch the golden light spill across the cobblestones. The scent of roasted coffee beans mixed with the briny breeze from the river. It was my kind of peace. My mother used to say, "Emma, some people search for miracles in the sky, but sometimes they're brewed in a cup you hand to someone." I didn't fully understand it then, but I would soon enough. Life in Savannah had a slow charm, magnolia trees stretching like lazy arms, the chatter of tourists, the hum of jazz from the corner bars. My best friend, Sophia, often joined me at the cafe after her nursing shifts. She'd sit on the counter and steal muffins while telling me about the patients she'd met that day. One of them was Mason, a young soldier recovering from an injury. He'd come in once or twice, quiet, always sitting in the same corner, sketching in a notebook. There was something about him, a stillness that didn't match his strong frame. He rarely smiled, but when he did, it felt like sunlight slipping through a cloudy sky. My days were calm, even dull sometimes, until that phone call. It was a Thursday afternoon when I got the message from the hospital. Sophia's voice trembled as she spoke. "Emma, it's your mom. You need to come." I don't remember much of the drive, just the flashing lights, the sound of my own heart, and the taste of fear thick in my throat. When I reached the hospital, everything blurred except her pale face, still, quiet, peaceful. A heart attack, sudden, final. My world cracked that day. The weeks that followed were a fog of numbness. The cafe felt empty without her laughter. Every corner reminded me of her. The chair she used to sit in, the mug she favored with the little chip on its rim. Sophia tried to help. Mason, too, in his quiet way. He started coming more often, helping me close up shop, walking me home when the streets grew quiet. We talked about everything: loss, pain, the strange way life keeps going when you want it to stop. One evening, as rain tapped softly on the windows, Mason said, "You know, I once thought my life ended when I lost my leg, but maybe losing isn't always the end. Maybe it's how we learn what really matters." His words sank deep, carving something open in me. Still, grief has its own stubborn timeline. I stopped painting, stopped singing. The world turned to grayscale. Until one night, that day I'll never forget, when everything changed. It was a stormy Friday. I closed the cafe early as thunder rolled through the distance. I took the long route home, walking past the riverfront, lost in thoughts. Then I heard it, a crash, metal on metal, a scream. Without thinking, I ran. 2 cars had collided near the bend. One was overturned, smoke rising. And then I saw Mason, trapped behind the wheel, blood on his forehead. My body moved before my mind caught up. I tore at the seatbelt, shouting his name, glass slicing my hands. Rain drenched us both, lightning flashing across the dark sky. Someone called 911, but I didn't stop. I kept talking to him. "Stay with me, Mason. You promised you'd show me your drawings again, remember?" When they pulled him out, I was shaking. He was barely breathing. I rode with him to the hospital. Mason spent weeks recovering. I visited daily, reading to him, bringing coffee, laughter, and the warmth I'd forgotten I had. He told me later that he'd seen light when everything went dark. Not a tunnel or an angel, but something like home. And for me, that night became the moment everything shifted. I realized miracles aren't always flashes of divine light. Sometimes they're found in the courage we never knew we had, in the heartbeat that refuses to stop, in the love that survives the storm. Months later, the cafe reopened under a new name, Second Sunrise. Mason painted the sign himself. Sophia brought fresh flowers every week. The town came alive again. When tourists asked about the cafe's name, I'd smile and say, it's a reminder that every sunrise is a miracle, one you never forget. It's been 7 years since that night. The night the rain fell harder than I'd ever seen. The night I thought I was losing another piece of my heart. And instead, I found the strength I didn't know I had. Sometimes I still walk along the Savannah River in the early morning, when the mist is thick and the air smells like sea salt and magnolias. The city wakes slowly, just like me. I often stop by the bench near the bend in the road, the one where Mason's car once crashed. There's a small plaque there now, not in memory of tragedy, but in celebration of second chances. It reads, "For every storm that breaks us, there's a sunrise waiting to heal us." Mason and I never talked much about that night afterward. We didn't need to. It lived quietly between us, in shared glances, in laughter over burnt muffins, in the small silences that spoke of gratitude. He opened an art studio 2 streets away from my cafe. His sketches of Savannah's streets, the cracked bricks, the dancing oaks, the reflections in puddles, became local treasures. Every time he painted light breaking through clouds, I knew what he was remembering. Sophia, ever the heartbeat of our trio, still works at the hospital. She jokes that the cafe's coffee now keeps half the nurses alive during night shifts. I often see her sitting by the window with a new patient, comforting them with the same warmth she once gave me. But the biggest change, the quiet miracle that still stirs me, is how my mother's presence never left. Every morning when I brew the first pot of coffee, the smell reminds me of her hands, soft, flour-dusted, warm. I talk to her sometimes, not in sadness, but in peace. I tell her about the people who come into the cafe, about Mason's art shows, about the way the city lights shimmer on the river at night. Or tell her how I finally understand what she meant all those years ago about miracles and cups of coffee. Because that's what the day I never forgot truly gave me. Perspective. That life is fragile, yes, but it's also endlessly resilient. That love, whether born of friendship or grief, can rebuild what's been shattered. And that sometimes the most powerful miracles aren't loud or blinding. You're the quiet ones that change the direction of your life forever. Last week, I stood outside Second Sunrise just as the sky began to blush with the first hints of dawn. A young woman came in, eyes swollen from tears. She looked lost, the same kind of lost I once felt. She asked for something strong. I poured her a steaming cup, placed it gently in front of her, and smiled. "Here," I said softly. "This helps when you think you can't start over." She looked at me, and something flickered in her eyes, a fragile spark of hope. And at that moment, I realized maybe that's my purpose, to pass it on. The warmth, the light, the reminder that miracles don't always fall from the sky. Sometimes we hand them to each other, one small act of kindness at a time. That's why I'll never forget that day. Not because it broke me, but because it remade me. because it turned pain into purpose, loss into love, and endings into beginnings. And when the sun rises tomorrow over the Savannah River, golden and new, I'll be there, watching it spill through the window of second sunrise, whispering to myself the truth I finally learned. Every sunrise is a miracle. You just have to live long enough to see it. If you like the story, then like the video and subscribe the channel. Thanks for watching the video.